Hi everyone, this is Helen from Modern Pepper, and you're wondering, oh my goodness, what a feast. Yes, indeed, it is a feast. So today's recipe, we will be making bulgogi, beef bulgogi, and chicken bulgogi, and for my vegetarian friends, mushroom bulgogi. And this is not just for my vegetarian friends. This is something that I highly recommend because you probably have never had mushroom bulgogi, and this is a really good vegetable side to serve with any entrees, even steaks to fish and chicken. It doesn't have to be with Korean meals. And this is my favorite. It's divine. And we'll also be making spicy chicken bulgogi, and this is made using chicken breast. It still has that really yummy soft texture, and the marinade is velvety and creamy after you bake it in the oven, so you have to give this a try. And last but not least, this is Dwaejibulgogi, and it's sliced pork shoulder marinated in spicy gochujang marinade. And the marinade itself is super easy to make, and this is my staple pork marinade along with all these other marinades that I keep in my freezer, except for the mushrooms, because mushrooms you don't really want to freeze because it is a delicate vegetable. But you could freeze the marinade for that, and then when you want to make your mushroom, just defrost the marinade and then coat it lightly, and then you could just bake it, and it's just so yummy. Right? And all these other four marinades, I usually make a big batch and I put them in small serving size portions, and I double and triple bag them, and I put them away in my freezer, and then I take it out, and then I use it to make loads and loads of traditional Korean dishes, one being kimchi jjigae, and you could use your protein of choice from here, from today's marinade recipe, and doenjang jjigae. And doenjang jjigae is basically Korean miso paste stew. It's thick and hearty, and it's loaded with so many different kinds of vegetables, and then you add one of the proteins of your choice. If you love miso soup, you will definitely love doenjang jjigae. So be on the lookout for that. We'll definitely do that recipe soon. And I also like to make japchae. And japchae is your vermicelli noodles, or many people call it glass noodles. And japchae is typically made with bulgogi, but you could use your chicken bulgogi or mushroom bulgogi to make japchae. So actually next week's video we'll be making japchae, so make sure to stay tuned for that. The other favorite dish of mine to make is using beef bulgogi, but you could certainly use chicken bulgogi, but I like to make bulgogi tukbegi, and basically that is bulgogi in clear broth with a little bit of japchae noodles or glass noodles, and it's just one of those really yummy ways to have bulgogi that many people may not be familiar with. And then I also like to make other non-traditional Korean dishes using these marinades, one being Korean burritos. Yes, you probably never heard of it, but Korean burritos using Korean rice, roasted seaweed, and one of these proteins, and I make my special gochujang sauce to serve with it with some fresh vegetables, and it is a hit. So if you've never had one, please stay tuned for that, and we'll make that together. And then the other thing I like to make is also, I take a big Italian hero bread, slice it in half, I put my barbecued protein of choice, and then I add a layer of different fresh vegetables, and I also put some gochujang dressing, and it is a hit. And again, we'll make that together too. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button that is below this video box, so that we can continue to cook together and enjoy Korean food as well as non-Korean food together. Let's get started on our bulgogi marinade. So this is really simple to do, but before we begin, as you will see in the screen next to me, you need to pre-soak your bulgogi when you bring it home in a big bowl with cold water, just to draw out the excess blood. And then after you do that, just put it in a strainer and let it strain. And you don't need to squeeze out the water. We don't want to really do that. Just let it strain naturally. And if there's any water absorbed by the bulgogi, that is fine. Keep it as is. As far as our marinade, this is 1/3 cup of soy sauce and a 1/4 cup of mirin. And mirin is this Japanese and Korean cooking wine. It's really good for marinades and making stews and stuff. This is our honey. Now, I like to cook with honey. If you prefer to not use honey, then use brown sugar. I think brown sugar is better than white sugar for this marinade, but I prefer to use honey. So that's 1 tablespoon of honey, half a tablespoon of garlic powder, and this is about 3 fresh garlic chopped, and it doesn't have to be perfectly chopped, but by all means just chop it and put it in there. And this is 2 stalks of green onions, and make sure to use the white part as well. Okay, so just dump everything in here, just start mixing, and then we will add a tablespoon of olive oil, some black pepper, and this is sesame oil that I put in this jar. Literally just a little dab like this. Probably like 5 drops of sesame oil. And that is just to add a subtle flavor to it, not a lot, because sesame oil is really strong tasting and it's nutty, and it's usually more for dressing than for cooking on a frying pan and such. And now, most people don't add miso to, but I like to, because miso also has this quality of sort of covering and masking any gamey smell, and also it has a salt. It's salty, so it acts as a salt, but it also has a nice base of flavor when you cook it. So this is my secret sort of ingredient that I add to my bulgogi marinades. So this is 1 tablespoon of miso paste. And miso paste comes in light, medium, and dark, and I'm using the dark one. Oftentimes it is also called the red type, but we're not getting the really, really strong red miso. That's not for this. It's just get the one that's the darkest. Usually if you go to a Korean supermarket or Japanese supermarket, they usually have light, medium, and dark, and this is the one I would recommend. And just mix it. We are done mixing our ingredients, and I want you to also taste it. So Korean bulgogi marinade is not supposed to be sweet like teriyaki or other Asian marinades. The sweetness should be subtle. So for me, this marinade has just the right amount of sweetness, and it's just like a tucked in aftertaste. So it shouldn't be sweet when you taste it, but if you like it sweet, by all means add more honey to it. But this is the way it should taste. A little bit salty. You could taste the olive oil, you could taste the garlic, you could taste the scallions, and you could taste you can't taste the miso, but you could taste the subtle taste of miso behind it. But when you go to grill your bulgogi, you will not taste the miso, but the miso acts as a really nice salty and deeper texture to the marinade. Okay, so now that we're done with making our marinade, so just put it in there. And what I would do is, you could use your hands to mix it, or you could use your tongue to mix it. I like to use my Korean disposable kitchen gloves. It's one of my favorite tools, because as you know, as a mom, we wash our hands so many times, and my hands are so dry from just being constantly washed. And this is the Korean, it looks like this. There's a lot of different packages, but my favorite one is this green package. It kind of is stronger and it's a bit more durable. And then you just mix it like so. Just make sure each piece of the beef is just absorbed into the marinade, and it's just lightly coated. So you don't even really need to do anything more than this. Now, if you are not close to a Korean grocery store and you cannot pick up pre-sliced bulgogi, just use any ribeye or really any choice of your beef, because bulgogi itself is not really supposed to be one of those delicate dishes where you're using the super high-end cuts of beef. So you could just bring home your your steak or ribeye, and before you start slicing it, I recommend putting it in the freezer for 30 minutes so it's slightly frozen, so it's super easy to slice really thin. Otherwise, if you try to slice any kind of beef when it's room temperature, it is not fun because it's slimy and it moves and stuff. So that's my tip. So this is all done. So we're just gonna put it in a Ziploc bag. I highly recommend leaving it in your refrigerator overnight so it continues to marinate. And then after that, you could portion size them and double bag them and then put them in the freezer for your future use. Or if you're sort of in a pinch and you really need to get something out to eat, I would at least try to let it marinate for 30 minutes to an hour. Preferably if your kitchen is a cool kitchen, let it sit on the counter and it should be good to go. Okay, so now let's move on to our chicken marinade. Now we'll be making our chicken bulgogi. Now, with the chicken, I highly recommend taking your chicken breast, and just like with the beef earlier, I would freeze your chicken breast for about good 30 minutes and then take it out and slice it. And you just want to slice it thin like so, and it doesn't have to be perfectly uniform slices. Now, as with all my recipes, I will have a detailed list of all the ingredients and recipe instructions on my website. So you can go there later when you're ready to actually make this and be able to print out all the information you need to make this recipe. Mix everything together like so. And just like with the beef bulgogi, I would keep it refrigerated overnight before you start cooking it. And then if you're pressed for time, let it sit on your kitchen counter for about a good 30 minutes to an hour if you are sort of desperately trying to get dinner on the table. Hi, so now we're making mushroom bulgogi, and this is one of my favorites. You don't need to be a vegetarian to enjoy mushroom bulgogi. Today I'm going to be using shiitake mushroom and portobello mushrooms and king trumpet mushroom. So because these vegetables are delicate, we're going to slice them really thick. This is the only thing I would not make ahead of time and freeze. It won't freeze well, but what you can do is you can make the same marinade that we use for the chicken and for the beef. You could make this marinade ahead of time and put it in your freezer, and then when you're ready to make your mushroom bulgogi, you could just defrost the marinade and pour it. And this doesn't really require a lot of soaking time in the marinade because, again, these are literally sponges. So it'll absorb the flavor really quickly, and then you could just fire it up in the oven and it's good and ready to go. One thing about mushrooms, it is not a good idea to soak them in running water. You could clean them with a little wet paper towel and just wipe off the excess dirt that you may see. And that's usually the best way to clean fresh mushroom. So I would just remove the stem like this. And for a shiitake mushroom that's this small, I would not even cut it. I would just remove the stem and just dunk it in there, okay? And then for the portobello mushroom, I would just, again, clean all the mushroom with a wet towel and just remove the base. And then this too, I would cut them really thick. This is about 1 inch wide. And once these mushrooms absorb the marinade and start cooking, it's also going to lose its size, and it's probably going to shrink down to half the size at least. So the portobello mushroom, cut them about 1 inch wide. And then the trumpet mushrooms, these guys are a little bit, let's first trim off the ends, and we're going to get rid of that. And these guys are a bit chewy and meaty on the base, on the stem, which is why I love this trumpet mushroom. So I would just cut them in half like so, And this one's a little bit bigger, so I would probably cut them in half and then quarter it like that. So everything's gonna cook evenly because we don't want certain mushrooms to be fatter than the other, and then the other one will cook faster and such. So I pre-cut all the mushrooms. So we're just using the same exact marinade as the chicken and the bulgogi marinade that we made earlier. And we're just gonna add the mushrooms like so. I am gonna use my Korean disposable kitchen gloves. I can't cook without these because I really hate to get my hands, you know, soaked in acidic marinades. It really literally kills my skin. And one of my girlfriends that are non-Korean girlfriends, she's so mesmerized by me using these Korean kitchen gloves. She just cannot understand why I would use them, but she learned the hard way because she's, you know, she's a mom like me too, and she's always washing her hands because, you know, we all know why we have to wash our hands a lot when we're around little people. The little people are a little dirty and messy, you know. So she actually wound up getting a infection on her finger from overwashing, and because her skin was so dry that it was so susceptible to bacteria. So now she uses Korean kitchen gloves when she has to marinate, just to protect her skin. And it's also good for sanitary reasons too. But anyway, so you toss the mushrooms like so, whether you use your hands or use a tongue. Just be gentle with it. We're just gently tossing it so that the marinade is really in contact with every part of the mushroom, so it's nicely coated. And look at that. Look how pretty that looks. So this, you just need to let it maybe hang out in your refrigerator for an hour, or let it hang out on your countertop for about a good 30 minutes before you're ready to start grilling in your oven. Now we will be making the spicy chicken bulgogi, and again using the same exact marinade that we made for our beef and chicken and mushroom earlier. We're just gonna add a few more ingredients to make it a spicy bulgogi version. This is called gochujang. This is red pepper paste. It's a cousin of miso paste, and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of gochujang to our marinade, a tablespoon of Korean red pepper flakes, and I would always try to buy taeyangcho, which is a more a regional name that they give for peppers that are spicy. And again, the same thing for, it says here taeyangcho if you could read Korean, and it's basically the spicy version. And if you don't like spicy food, they do make less spicy gochujang, which you can try. But again, you probably won't be trying this marinade if you didn't like spicy food. So these two. And now cayenne pepper. This is optional if you like your spicy bulgogi marinade extra spicy, so you could just add a little bit. And cayenne pepper is super spicy, so I just like to put a little, but again, if you like it extra spicy, you could put more. And then some vinegar. So I'm using brown rice vinegar. This is a Korean brand, and you could just certainly use any brown rice vinegar that you could get, or any mild vinegar would do. So this is a tablespoon of vinegar. You need a microplane because we're going to be using our ginger. So my ginger, this is from the freezer. So when you bring your ginger home, after you use it a little bit, you can't really throw it away. That would be a waste. So I like to freeze it in saran wrap and then use my microplane to grate the ginger I need. So we want to put about a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. Oh God, this smells so nice. It's so refreshing, but yet it smells sweet. So it's about a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and then always make sure so a lot of it gets stuck in the back. Make sure to just scrape it off with your ginger and tap it in, and then when you're done, wrap it up in saran wrap And then put it in your sandwich bag or whatever plastic bag you have, and it goes right back into the freezer. So, and you could continue using this for a while. So let's just mix all this up. I wish you could smell this. It smells so fragrant. You could smell the spiciness, you could smell the vinegar, you could smell the sesame oil and the olive oil, and then you could just smell the saltiness of the marinade. It smells so good. Okay, now it's time to taste. Oh, it's so good. So again, just like the other marinade, the sweetness should be very subtle. The sweetness of the honey is to just tie in all the garlicky, salty, and peppery taste of the marinade. I really wish you could taste this. I mean, this dressing is, I think I would just probably put it on lettuce and eat it. It's so fragrant. Okay, so now it's ready. So this is our pork. This is slightly under 2 pounds. Again, just like our beef earlier, once you bring it home, put it in a big bowl with some cold water and let it just hang out for 10 to 20 minutes to extract the excess blood. If you don't have access to a Korean market that has these pre-sliced pork shoulder, just go to any market and buy pork shoulder and put it in the freezer for about good 30 minutes so it freezes kind of halfway, and then slice it. And it doesn't have to be sliced this wide either, so it could be sliced half the size, because again, once it goes into the marinade and we cook it, the size really doesn't matter. What matters is the thinness of your pork shoulder, and we do want some fat on it because that will also add to the flavor when we grill it later on. Okay, so we're gonna add our sliced pork with my Korean gloves again. We're just gonna marinate. So, you know, I have days where I don't really cook at all because I have, you know, sometimes we eat cereal for dinner and sometimes we eat leftovers for dinner. And then there are days where I use all these pre-made marinades that I have in the freezer to make so many other dishes. So, you know, as I mentioned earlier, this is my staple ingredient, and once in a while I will buy a bunch of meat and just marinate everything, both non-spicy and spicy, because my household, not everyone could handle eating spicy food like my little children. So this is, you know, this is a good way where when on those days when I want to have spicy food but my children can't have them, then I just pull out a small batch of this spicy version and I just make it for myself and my husband, and then the kids could have the non-spicy version. So it's a good way to just make stuff ahead of time and enjoy it when you want to. So just marinate it and make sure that all the ingredient is nicely absorbed, like so. And that's it. Spicy pork bulgogi. So now let's talk about how to cook the Korean bulgogi. So the easiest way is to use a non-stick frying pan. And now if you have a barbecue grill, outdoor barbecue grill, I highly recommend getting this gadget. I know it looks kind of funny, huh? You can find this at any big Korean grocery store or supermarket, and basically this gadget is typically used for fish fillets. You lay it flat on one side and you close it and you put it on your outdoor barbecue grill and you set it down and then you flip it over like this. So it's supposed to help you grill some, you know, delicate meats. And I like to use this for bulgogi because bulgogi is basically thin slices of meat, so it's hard to sort of turn over each piece on a barbecue grill without having at least half of it fall in between the barbecue grill and losing it to all the charcoal, and we don't want to do that. So I recommend getting one of these gadgets. Lay bulgogi flat, close it, and then put it on your highest setting on your outdoor barbecue grill and let it sizzle for a good to 5 minutes on both sides. And this is really a tasty option. Now, I don't really like to fire up my barbecue grill every evening because it is a lot of work because you have to clean it before and after. So my go-to method that also has a lot of flavor that you could add to is using the oven. And I like to set it on broil setting. So make sure you turn it on at least 5 minutes before you're ready to start broiling your bulgogi. This is a baking sheet with a piece of foil, and this is the mushroom bulgogi marinade. I mean, I wish you could smell this. Even without putting it in the oven, it smells so delicious. I mean, I could smell the soy sauce and the natural fragrance of the mushrooms and the garlic and onions and soy sauce. I am actually drooling as I speak, so excuse me. All right, so let's get started and get this cooking. Notice how the shelf on the oven is at its high setting, so that when we put our baking sheet, we want the meat to be right below the broiler heat, so it cooks super fast. And then you want to just keep an eye on it. So it has been 3 minutes under the broiler, and we're just gonna take it out. And I just want to show you that depending on your oven, it might be 3 minutes or a little bit longer. So we just want to see some brown marks like that on your mushroom. As you can see right here, that's what you want. And then just turn everything over and then place it back and let it sizzle for a couple more minutes. Nice. So our mushroom's ready. So if your baking sheet looks like this with burnt marks around the side, that is normal. So just when you are done taking it out of the oven, it's really important to transfer the mushrooms into a serving dish right away, because if you let the mushrooms hang out on the baking sheet for a little while longer, then it will overcook and you lose the sort of nice texture of the mushrooms. So this is how it looks. Oh my god, I wish I could let you come over and smell this and we could eat it together. Now, this part's optional. Mushrooms, I think, with butter is just, it's a marriage made in heaven. These two just go together. But if you don't want to add butter, don't do it. But this is a tablespoon of butter, and I just want you to mix it up and just let it melt with your mushroom. I'm actually drooling while I'm doing this. And you know, this dish, I know as I described earlier that it's vegetarian friendly for my vegetarian friends that can't have Korean traditional bulgogi that's made out of beef. So this is a really good option to have, still enjoy the flavors of Korean bulgogi, but with mushroom. I can't wait to taste it and put it in my mouth. Butter's all melted nicely and we're gonna taste it. I cannot tell you in words how delicious this is. The butter that we added at the end just enhances all the flavors of the soy sauce. Taste that soy sauce is salty, but it has this sort of nutty taste to it. And then the garlic, and then you could taste the scallions and just a hint of sweetness, very subtle. I just hope you make this at home and have it with Korean rice in a lettuce wrap, which we'll do a little bit later. Our beef bulgogi, and same thing, put it right underneath the broiler on your highest shelf setting. Now it has been 3 minutes and we're just gonna take it out, and you just want, again, just a little bit of some brown spots on your gogi, and then just turn it over. I always like to turn my baking sheet around because the back tends to be a lot hotter than the front. And then we're gonna leave it in there for another 3 minutes. And this is our chicken bulgogi, and same thing. Just put it right under the broiler with your shelf at its high setting, and we're gonna leave it for a couple minutes. It has been a little over 3 minutes, and depending on your oven, again, we just wanna keep it under there until you see a little bit of brown spots like that, okay? Then you turn everything over. Then put it back and let it cook for another 3 minutes or so. And this is our spicy chicken bulgogi. Cook for a good 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, it has been about good 4 minutes. And we're just gonna take it out, and this is what we want, just like the others, just a little bit of brown spots like that. And then just turn everything over and put it back and let it cook for another 3 to 4 minutes. And this is our spicy pork bulgogi, and we're just gonna put it right underneath the boiler like so, and let it cook for about good to 3 to 4 minutes, or until it's golden brown. So it has been about good 3 to 4 minutes, and just pull it out, and you just like the others, we just want to have a little bit of that brown spot mark like this, and then you just turn everything over, and then you put it back and let it cook for another 3 to 4 minutes, or until it's golden brown. Hi, so now that we're done making our delicious bulgogi, it's time to taste, and it's time to make our lettuce wrap called ssham. Korean bulgogi is typically made with beef, and it is also served with a side of vegetables, fresh vegetables, and usually it's different kinds of lettuce, and so you could pick your choice of lettuce. I have red leaf lettuce, but you could use romaine lettuce, you could use Boston lettuce, whatever lettuce that you fancy, use that. And then these are called crown daisies, and basically it's sort of your Korean parsley, but it's definitely milder than Italian parsley. So these you could only find at Korean markets. Now if you are not close to a Korean market, you don't really have to use this. You could also use any bitter greens, arugula is good too, or frisee is definitely good. And this is called 깻잎, and it's called perilla leaves, and it's basically a milder version of I would say basil. So but it has a little bit of a nuttier taste that basil does not have. So again, if you are not nearby a Korean market and you cannot get this, then just use basil leaves, or even, you know, if you don't want to, don't add it. So I want to also talk about how you make a lettuce wrap. And typically with lettuce wrap called ssham in Korean, it comes with 쌈장, and 쌈장 you could actually buy at a Korean grocery market. And I will also have all this information on my blog at modernpepper.com, and you could buy this, but I will also teach you how to make this, and so I will have a separate video for this at the end of this video, so be on the lookout for that. And another side that is always typically served with Korean ssham is cucumber scallion salad. This is super easy to make. I will also have this video included with the 쌈장 video, which is coming up right after this video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Now, making ssham, you take a small piece of lettuce, smaller than the size of your hand, and I want to just warn everyone, because a lot of my non-Korean friends think that they're supposed to make a taco size, so they're eating like at this angle, or they're making like burrito size, and they put so much stuff in there, and as they go to take a bite, everything's falling off the plate. So that's not how typically ssham is supposed to be made. You want to take a piece of lettuce, cut the hard root end off, and then you could layer it with other vegetables of your choice, like so, or not. And then you take some rice. Now, for ladies, my lady friends that are also looking to sort of cut out carb, do not add rice to it. Just skip the rice portion and just go straight to your protein of choice. But again, the point of making this is to make it bite-sized. So just put a small amount of rice and your protein of choice. And I think I'm gonna go for my spicy pork bulgogi. So take a small piece, nothing too big, about this size, lay it down like so, and then you take a little bit of 쌈장, and then a little bit of the cucumber and scallion salad, and you lay it down like so, and then you fold it over in half, and then you roll it over, so it literally becomes a bite size. So basically this is, if you don't add the rice, then it just becomes a salad with protein, which is really popular among my friends that are on no starch diets. So, and then you just put it in your mouth, and it's literally a salad protein party in your mouth, and the flavors of the marinade from the protein and the fresh texture and the sweetness of the lettuce and the vegetables, and then the ssamjang has a little bit of spicy kick and saltiness, and then your cucumber and scallion salad adds a very refreshing taste to the whole experience of having this medley of ingredients in your mouth. So you really have to give this a try. And I will do that, and I'm going to skip over the part while I'm chewing because I don't want to be so mean and not let you have this while I enjoy. I was just covering my mouth, and this is a good thing to do if you're with a bunch of new friends or with elders, Korean elders. It is okay to just politely cover your mouth a little bit if you don't want them to see you go like that. So you could do that. Anyway, the flavors of all the ingredients is just something that I cannot describe in words, but it is one of the reasons why Korean barbecue is super popular and also super healthy in that you're eating lots of high protein with fresh vegetables. Now, Koreans also like to have soju with their barbecue. That's when you have barbecue, it's like kind of given that you have soju. And so make sure to have a bottle of soju ready for your friends when they come. So any light beer would go really well with Korean barbecue. So make sure to have this handy too as well when you have your friends come over. Now, when you are eating Korean barbecue, it is also very, very important to have really yummy Korean rice. So make sure to watch my video number 3 called Korean Rice to Save Hangry Souls. I know it's funny, but it goes over the very basics of how to make Korean rice. Now, if you live in a household where you don't consume rice often, that video will also go over how to make rice and freeze it in small portions so that for occasions when you do want to have Korean rice, you don't have to make it from scratch. So again, that's video number 3, Korean rice to save hangry souls. Or the other alternative is to get one of these, and this is there's so many brands out there, and you could buy this on Amazon, and I'll have the link for this also on my blog on my website. But this is one of those rice that's already pre-cooked. You pop it in the microwave using the directions listed, and it comes out tasting like you just made fresh rice. So it's really delicious. But I wouldn't recommend this to consume every day because it is loaded with preservatives. But this is a good alternative if you're in a pinch or if you're traveling. Like when I go to Tahoe, I bring a bunch of these and I just pop them in the microwave, and I don't really have to worry that much about dinner for my 3 children and my husband. So anyway, I just want to share that information with you. I hope you try this at home, and the marinade itself is super easy. We basically take the same marinade for all the ingredients, and then when we make the spicy version, we just add a few more ingredients, including gochujang, to make it a spicy version. So again, I use this marinade also to make loads of other Korean dishes. So make sure to make extra and freeze small sized portions of these proteins so that when we make our other Korean traditional dishes, you could just pull them out of your freezer and then we could just get cooking right away. I want to thank everyone for watching, and please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, because your subscription to my YouTube channel means that I can continue making these videos. And I would love to continue to cook with you and also communicate with you. So make sure to also leave me comments if you have any questions. So leave me comments on my Facebook, Instagram, or on my website. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy eating and cheers!